What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Life Insurance Podcast. This is episode number 2 with Mo Money. I guess that's what Moritz lore we call it goes by Mo. And John David, myself, we run a life insurance agency that we specialize and focus on telesales, one call closing, as well as we work in the annuity realm. Really, kind of all options in your life insurance licensing. Try to just help people as much as we can, tell them what works, what doesn't, and see if we can help people. So, Mo, if people don't know you, who are you? What you do?
I sell life insurance, right? Annuities. Been with you at Arize a little over a year and a half, or right around a year and a half, actually. Trained the guys, and if you want to be fancy, you could call it national sales trainer, or just help people sell stuff. Um, and the nickname Mo Money, we're trying to make money and trying to make everyone else money too. Just works with a nickname Mo, right? So yeah, quick summary for you, John. What do you do outside of
Yeah.
yelling at people?
Yeah, pretty much help run the agency. We train agents, try to solve problems, man. I think that so for us, we're really just focusing on how can we bring more value to the marketplace. How can we help agents even outside of our agency, get the guidance that they possibly don't get that we offer. So, that's kind of why we put this podcast here together and why we're planning to shoot this every single week. So pretty good call today. Going to be talking about what really like as an entrepreneur, even if you're not in insurance, but in sales in general, anything like that, like what a proper day looks like, what a productive day would be, and just really from morning to night how it goes. So I think that the structure in your day is probably the most important part of being successful. I know it's helped me tremendously become successful and obviously keep growing as we go. And I think that the biggest thing about, having a properly structured day is like there's so many things in especially in business in general that can go wrong and that you can't control. It's like I want to find all the variables that I can control and make sure I can control them to the best of my abilities. That way those things that I can't control affect my day less. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Mo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much you can control in your day, right? One thing you can control is the amount of hours that you have. So what you can control is how efficient you are with your time. Um, really, just for on your end, you've obviously mastered that yourself. While he's adjusting the table.
Sorry. Yeah, keep rolling.
um, Obviously, you've mastered that for yourself, right? You're a very efficient person, very on time. I'm still getting there, but really I think the biggest problem that people have is they like to do things that feel like work, but that are more enjoyable rather than actually work. And that tends to make them feel like they're doing something, but doesn't help the bank account, right? So that's definitely something that I think everybody struggles with. That everybody gets to that. Everybody falls back into that. But the better you get at not doing that, well, the more money you make.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say that I've mastered efficiency. I've just learned to be a lot more efficient and structuring in my day. I think that um, it's extremely important. I mean, I'm always on time, if not early, right? So that's one of my strengths for sure. But definitely can improve on efficiency and things like that. So we figured we would talk about kind of what a solid day looks like, starting from the beginning to the end. Maybe a couple tips that could help you out, and then if what you're doing is working, great, continue doing what you're doing. If you're having some struggles, having some issues, and maybe you can implement a thing or two, that'd be great too. So I mean, starting out, I always talk about a solid morning routine, right? I think that especially when you're in our type of business where we're pretty much, I mean, that's why we have standing desks, right? Because we're sitting around all day long, and like the human body in general is not built to sit around all day long. We are building it that way with society and obesity for sure. But you definitely want to get some movement in. So, like for me, I've always focused on, and then, maybe you touch on what a morning routine looks for you. But for me, I've always said, obviously a solid morning routine, it starts the night before, making sure everything's set up, making sure you can literally get up and go. I think that the least amount of resistance you can have from getting out of bed to making your first movement is the best thing you can do. But for me, a couple tips for what I say is I get up at 4 a.m. Right, I'm a 4 a.m. guy. Was not a 4 a.m. guy. I think that getting to the 4 a.m. group of incrementally moving your time back. So like what we tell our guys, if they're 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 6:30 a.m. and they want to wake up earlier, Ed Milet talks about this a lot, but it's like move your alarm back 15 minutes every single week. And before you know it, you'll be where you want to be. I always say wake up before the sun. And then really three main components for my morning structure. It's strengthen your body, strengthen your mind, and then do something uncomfortable. So what does that mean? For me, obviously, it's typically getting up, doing cardio. That's usually how I run it. Or if it's a weightlifting day, it's weightlifting. And then while I do my cardio, podcast, audiobook, and then uncomfortable is typically cold water all over my body. So I'll do a cold shower, something along those lines. Get you up and running, get you pushing, and then that's usually my morning routine. Everything. I think if you can be as consistent as you can in the morning, it's predicts the rest of your day. And then, we can talk about, but like, as far as Mo, I mean, you're obviously a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger than me. So, maybe you should be more of the talking about the morning routine and fitness stuff.
Well, so I mean, in terms of a morning routine, I have two morning routines because depending on workload and what we're planning, I switch it back and forth between weightlifting, going to the gym in the morning, respectively, bringing it at night. I like going to the gym at night.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind being done with my workout at like 11 p.m. Right, that's cool with me. But really, either do that or pull it in the morning if I need to work later, which tends to happen frequently. So, but the basic is always the same. I try to get up and, like you said, get to some type of movement as quickly as possible. Now, if I have some type of weightlifting going on, I will have like a protein shake and then a banana. I always walk my dogs in the morning. That's my first movement. That's always a staple, right? Gets me out of the house like 20, 30 minutes or so, which is, nice. Gets, clears my head. I can go over the day, see what's going on, what's planned for the day, and then just kind of just clear my mind for the day. And really, that's my initial movement. If I go to the gym right after, that's where I got like a banana, protein shake, whatever in. If I don't go to the gym and I do like cardio or something along those lines, I skip that protein part and have it after. And then really, dogs, gym or cardio, and then really getting ready for the day, having a proper breakfast, showering the whole 9 yards, and then reviewing the day, going over everything with my assistant, seeing what John has planned for the day, and then see where we can help, and then we hop into role plays eventually with the other guys to make sure we're all working on our sales skills, etc. The main reason I really like having a hard workout after the gym after work is mainly just it really crashes my central nervous system. So I always need like 2-3 hours in between my workout and actual work to start to be really efficient. So that pulled my morning way earlier if I have to do that. I like to get up about 4:30. That's my time. I don't really subscribe to the whole 15-minute thing. I'm sure Ed Milet does it. I mean, obviously he knows what he's talking about. Just for me, I'm more like a hey, I want to get this done quickly type person. And I always say, hey, like one of these like sleeping phases about 90 minutes, so I pull back 90 minutes, right? If I do 15, 20 minutes and I go, you go to bed at the same time, I just wake up all sorts of messed up. So 90 minutes is good for me. So I pulled it back from used to be 6, pulled it to 4:30. That's great. I'm going to stay there. And then, you can adjust. But like John said, have a time that you go to bed that is consistent, that makes for a good night's sleep. and then go into 90-minute increments. That's really what helps me. Ideally, I want to get 4 of those. 6 hours is great. 4.5 hours is okay. There's workload to be done, and then coffee helps. That's kind of the morning, and then we go into obviously having a good breakfast, like eggs and some whole grain type of bread, some oats, drinking egg whites if it has to be fast, right? Just getting some protein in. I think that's kind of the easiest way to do it. Which, yeah, I don't think that let's not dive too deep into that part, because it's not a fitness podcast. If people have questions, they can always ask us.
For sure. Yeah, no. I think having a solid fitness routine is extremely important, especially in our business. It's not necessary. I mean, maybe one day we will talk about that. It's obviously today's more about the overall day in general. But just a couple things. But I think that you can't, the reason I wanted to bring this part up for us, right, is because I wanted to make sure that like people have the understanding that it's not like you wake, like the odds of you being able to wake up, roll out of beds and log into work with eye boogers on still very, very unlikely. And of course, some dickhead's going to be like, oh, well, my friend Frank, my upline does this. Yeah, that's fine. Good for Frank. Let him do his thing. I'm talking about the average person and what can be implemented and duplicatable, right? So like for the insurance business, this is all about duplication. It's all about what can I show the next guy. Same thing with Mo. It's like I can't duplicate Mo. If I could duplicate Mo, we'd be retired, right? That'd be great. But so solid morning routine, extremely important. I think that starting off into your day, I think everything like we talked about, strengthen your body, strengthen your mind, do something uncomfortable, right? I think that's extremely important. And then the first thing is like for us, especially in our agency, like we do role plays 6 days a week, first thing in the morning. So 7:15 a.m. we're on. Everybody's on role playing. So every day of the week, we'll do a different topic. So like intro, fact finding, uncovering opportunities. We'll go over pitching. We'll go over call dissections, things like that. So a good solid 45 minutes. I think that it's extremely important to get your role playing out early in the morning and get just so you can get a couple reps in, right? So we have our guys do that. But I think that the bulk of what people want to know, right, is like what does a productive workday look like? And I think it takes a whole day, but a productive workday, like for me, a couple tips that I can say before we kind of hop into what it looks like is most people sit at their desk, maybe not sit at their desk, but they work 40, 50, 60 hours. But the activity levels that they do in there, and we find this a lot with most people, even when they work with us in our agency and things like that, is we see, okay, you may be like, we have an open Zoom room, and it's like, yeah, you may be logged into Zoom for 60 hours a week, but you're genuinely working probably like 15, right? So knowing what your KPIs are and what you need to do for each and every day, extremely beneficial. So most people understanding that, like, one question that I learned to ask myself consistently is this the most productive thing I can be doing right now? And if the answer is no, then I need to find out what that is, which would lead me to my next question of what is the most productive thing I can be doing right now? And usually, if you're outbound dialing, the answer is outbound dials, right? 90% of the time. But so yeah, intro, morning routine, solid role playing, and then getting into a day to day business, right? So, I mean, Mo, as far as how you structure your day, like what's kind of important to you, I guess, when you're saying, hey, this is what my
Well,
day looks like.
yeah. So usually I try to. So with dialing, what I've noticed is that I never know how long the actual calls will take. So if I have you and I have some type of meeting, or we're talking about like a different dialer company or some CRM stuff or whatever it is, I always try and get that as early in the morning as possible, and then knock all that out, and then mentally I'm like, okay, let's switch and let's dial, which comes with the territory of I can focus on something for 6 hours straight. Some people can't do that, so they might have to structure that a little differently, but I like to knock meetings out in the morning, be done with it, and then I know I can go and dial. Realistically speaking, for the average person, the ideal situation is probably putting it in dial blocks. We've gone back and forth about this. I think what we really came out to, that 2 hour blocks is the ideal situation. You set, let's say role plays are done at 8 a.m. Central. Let's say a role play is done at 8, put a 2 hour time block. In this 2 hour time block, the KPIs that you have to hit, the dials you have to make, presentations, contacts, etc. After that's done, take a 5 minute break, go back in, 2 hour time block. If you can structure that throughout your day, and let's say you work from 8 to 8 to make it easy on the math part, that's 6 dial blocks, you got a lot done, right? Usually people will fall off of this at some point throughout the day. The longer you can make it, the better. Obviously, you're going to have lunch break, which ideally is not 3 hours long. But yeah, so these blocks and just structuring the day just makes a huge difference for most people, just because their mind is like, okay, I can lock in for 2 hours. That's like, for the younger guys that we're seeing like 24 and under, they're 25 and under, they're like, it's a little tough to do that. Maybe you got to work with an hour or so, like realistically, just like realistically speaking, right? Um, but for everyone that we've seen, like 25 and up, 30 and up, they're usually pretty good with 2 hours. It's like, okay, I can do that, right? I've watched movies that are 2 hours long, and I didn't grow up on TikTok type thing. No, just realistically speaking,
Yeah.
it's attention span just changes, or has just changed drastically. So yeah, 2 hour time blocks, and then depending on how long you work, just put that in.
Yeah. So typically the way like, and so this is kind of like, I mean, if you're building, if you're growing, if you're doing things, your day will look a little bit different. But just for the average person that coming in, starting out, like, what should I be aiming for? What should I be shooting for? I mean, for us, we sit down with everybody and just kind of deconstruct what your goals are and do the back math to figure out based on agency averages. And then, of course, you track your numbers. So number one, you should be tracking your numbers because your KPIs come from your numbers generically. But I mean, for easy math wise, I mean, you should say, hey, what, 10% pickup rate, right? Uh, Probably as a new agent, 1 in 8 to 1 in 10 contacts turns into a presentation. Then you'll
That's
probably
right.
close 1 in 5 to 1 in 6. So if you do the math on that, like, average, say you're doing final expense, whatever it may be, your average deal being $800. Do the math, right? It's not that difficult. We can break that down in another video. But for me, it's like, okay, what numbers do I need to hit? Because when I was just sitting down dialing, that's all I was doing. Like I knew that I could hit 2 hours and I would do sprints, right? So for me, it's like, it was less about can I stay focused for 6 hours and more about, hey, I can hit a 2 hour sprint and then I want to beat my last sprint. Like, I'm a video gamer, I'm competitive, I want to win. So every time I'm like, can I beat my high score? And that's the way I looked at it, right? So in that 2 hour time block, there's really a couple things I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for dials, contacts, presentations, and sales. And then I have a winning number for each one of those categories. And I have to hit 2 out of the 4. That makes it a good dial block. So if I have 5 dial blocks in a day, 6 dial blocks in a day, I need to hit 2 out of those 4 metrics every single block for it to be a winning block, if that makes sense. And so an easy way, just for someone that's like, yeah, but I don't know my KPIs. Well, one, you should track. But secondly, if your agency doesn't have KPIs, I would say start with per dial block, 100 dials, 10 contacts, 2 presentations, or 1 sale. That's what you're shooting for. So just hit two out of those 4. If you can hit 2 out of those 4, you're doing solid, right? Oh, I'm sorry. 2 hour time block would be 200 dials. I apologize. 200 dials, 10 contacts, 2 presentations, or 1 sale, right? That's what we're shooting for out of every dial block. If you can do that, if you can hit 2 out of those numbers in 4 times, 5 times, 6 times out of the day, you're going to be doing well. The problem is most people don't hit that in one day. Right. So for me, it was about shrinking time frames and shrinking that. And that's what the time blocks were for me. Right. So solid morning routine, hitting role playing heavy, get a partner. If you don't have a partner, reach out to us. We can talk about it. And then getting like straight onto the phones. The biggest thing that I see that people mess up in this industry, especially for the people that role play, is like they get on and then they BS for the first hour, 2 hours of their day. So even if we get done with role play, like it's surprising to me right after role play, how many people say, okay, I'm going to go take a break. I'm like, bro, what do you, a break from what? So, I think that having a solid start time is extremely important to a productive day. So it's like, I will not make my first dial past this time.
Are you ready to launch your life insurance career or finally break through, but the lead cost is holding you back?
We solve that. With us, you get free leads for your first 8 weeks to build your pipeline fast, plus full commissions, and you own your book of business from day one.
Look, we have noticed the biggest reason agents fail isn't because they suck. It's because they don't get enough reps in front of enough people fast enough due to not being able to afford the right amount of leads.
That's why we're footing the bill to get you the volume of leads you need to build a multi six-figure income in this industry without stealing any of your comps.
If you're interested in applying, click the link below. Spots are limited. Don't wait.
So whatever you make that time be, make damn sure that you consistently hit that time. So if it's 8 a.m., if it's 7:30 a.m., if it's depending on whatever time zone you're in, if it's 8 a.m., you should not be making a dial past 8 a.m. Like that should not be your first dial should be prior to 8 a.m. as far as like, this is my first dial. You should not be making your first dial at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, whatever that is, if you want to be productive in your day. So it's like, what is my non-negotiable time? And that's where I start. I think that's probably the biggest thing is like most people don't have issues completing tasks as much as they have issues starting the next one. So,
Sure.
I know when you got 50 million things going on, it's totally different, but I think it's just focusing on what moves the needle and what makes money in this business. And if you're telesales, that's dialing, right? So, yeah, I mean, dial blocks definitely solid for your day. It really, for me, it shrinks times frames and it makes me say, okay, this is what I got last time. This is what I need to get this time, right? I know for you it's a bit different, but
Yeah, I mean, really for the when we're talking about an agent that's just starting out or regrouping or whatever, there's really not that much going on. You don't have a lot of like policy work you have to get done. Realistically, you're probably in family expense, so there's not like underwriting or anything going on most likely. So realistically speaking, you're just going to be you really just have to talk to people. That's really just the main thing, right? The more you can talk to people, the better it is. That's why I like telesales a whole lot better than in person, face to face, because I don't have to drive from A to B. I just pick up the phone and dial. The more you have to do, the more people you have to train, the more people you have to coach, meetings, blah blah blah, all that other stuff falls in there. That's a whole different beast to get efficient with. But this is meant to, how do I even start this? And start with the dialogue. First off, set what your non-negotiables are. Hey, I gotta bring the kids to school. Okay, obviously you gotta start after that, right? Whatever that may be, your non-negotiable. That's your start time. That's when you start dialing every day. There's no other thing you have to do. And then whatever your end time is, set that as your end time, and then put it into dial blocks. And you call it gamify. I just like numbers, right? So I'm just that numbers guy. So as long as I'm okay with working with my numbers, I'm not trying to chase like a high score or anything like that. That's just not me, right? I'm just like, just work. So the easier I can just make, the simpler you can make it as a new agent, the better. The less you have to think about it, right? So for contacts, you just have a little tally. You just make 5 contacts, whatever, one presentation. It's very simple. It really is. Just nobody wants to work. That's the main issue, right? And most likely you're just starting out. You don't have the skill to present to every second, third, fourth person. Like if you do the math, I mean, you just brought up, let's say you're having a presentation 1 in 10, and then you close 1 in 6, right? So that means you got to 10 times 6, you have to have 60 contacts to close somebody. Like there's a lot of agents that don't do 60 contacts in a day or two, and then they're wondering why they're not selling anything. So, well, you're not doing shit, right?
in comparison to your skill set, right? Like that's the thing that you have to remember is like, or not you, but people in general, is it's like in the beginning, you do have to overcompensate activity for skill set. You don't have the skill yet, right? So it may take you 60 contacts in a day, or 60 contacts for a sale. But the good thing is you know where you need to be to get a sale. So how bad do you want that sale?
Yeah, correct. And that goes in hand with people saying, "Hey, I need to make money bad," and then you see they have like 100 dials, and it's like, okay, maybe not that bad, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just sell your house. Um, so the yeah, okay. So to move on with this, dial blocks, get it through the day. Have one like centered lunch break. Ideally, you have your stuff prepped, right? You don't want to walk out there and then just like, oh, well, I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
You really, ideally you meal prep on the weekend.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do later today. Have everything ready for the week, and then go out, take your lunch. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. Anything longer than that, I mean, you better be, building an agency or something like that if you're not dialing, right? And then you go back to dialing and then see whenever your time's off and schedule the whole thing out. I mean, it's really easy math. If you say 200 dials per time block, you say you do have 4 of those, it's 800 dials, or whatever you said, 10 contacts, 20 contacts,
Yeah. 10
et cetera, et
contacts,
cetera.
2 presentations, 1 sale, right? So, and of course, this is with a dialer system, right? If you're hand dialing, typically you're looking at, about 60 dials per hour. So that could look like 100 dials, right? So if you're hand dialing out there, horse and buggying around, I guess. I mean, if you're in telesales, man, you should be using a dialer. But yeah, if you're dialing, hand dialing, I would say change that number to know your numbers. First of all, track your numbers, everything. But just for a baseline in a dial block, it should be about 100 dials, 10 contacts, 2 presentations, or 1 sale, right? That's what you should be shooting for every single dial block. If you're using a power dialer, such as Wave, such as Kixie, such as whatever it may be, that number can be 200 for sure. It can be more than that, but really we're really focusing on what does that get. And so for the first 90 days, as we talked about in the last episode, it's like you're really just trying to track your numbers and get your data, because at the end of the day, you can make whatever you want to make in this business if you're willing to apply the numbers that apply to you. So all we're doing is taking the numbers that we need in a week and we're shrinking them into a day, and then we're shrinking that again into a time block. So efficiently throughout the day, you should be sitting down and making 5-6 dial blocks. If you want to work an 8-hour day, that's fine too. But I would say if you the biggest thing is majority of the time people come into this business and they treat it like a job without a boss, and they don't treat it as they're starting a business. And it's like the truth of the matter is, and hey, I don't blame you. You probably got recruited into a dream. So I'm with you. That's how I was recruited into it. Fortunately for Mo, I told him it sucks. So from day one, I was like, it's really difficult. It sucks. But at the end of the day, you can make a crap ton of money if you're willing to work your ass off. And he was like, well, I'm willing to work my ass off. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really about putting that activity forward. And then of course, as you have cash flow coming in, I think the biggest thing is you'll use delegation, appointment setters, CRMs, technology, things like that for sure. But I think the biggest thing that we notice, I would say, I don't know what your take on this is a lot of people try to fill their time with non-money making activities and call that work, right? It's not work. Right. That's if you own a business, you do the money making activities outside of money making hours. And money making hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. time zone wide. So if you're in Florida, I mean, Mo came in and he was working until 11, 12 o'clock because he's in Florida and he was dialing West Coast so that he could get that extra hours of dialing and practice and things like that. So it's like if you want to put that effort in and you really want to win, go ahead.
I think just to a lot of people, 11 days, they assume that's going to be 11 a.m. We mean p.m., right? So 11 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
Outside of the normal schedule, like this is not a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, and really, if you're in Florida, I mean, you can really dial into the night pretty late with Alaska and Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like you can pull an all nighter there, dude. Stocking shelves, making dials. But yeah, so essentially the idea is like clear your schedule out of anything out of money making activities. Cause like for me, it's like if you look at your bank account and you're broke, and I mean like you can't buy leads, you don't have the next 6 months of bills paid, you don't have, you know what I mean? Like I always tell our guys, right? Like we talk about hey, you need to have at least 5 weeks of lead money in there, along with at least 3 months of bills. And if you can have that, okay, now you're at a situation where you're looking like things are looking better, right? Um, so if you're struggling deposit to deposit, like you shouldn't be doing anything other than getting on the phones and dialing. And so that's really what your metrics should be based upon. And once again, the beauty of tracking numbers is it applies to you specifically, and then you can apply those numbers. The problem is that a lot of people don't like their numbers, so they get mad at the business. No, don't be mad at the insurance business because you suck, right? It's okay, you can suck. I've seen a lot of people suck and make a crap ton of money because they applied their numbers, so as long as you can apply the numbers in the day to day and understand that if I'm not going to get better skill wise, I just have to work my ass off, you can still make a crap ton of money in this business. It's just clear your
Sure.
schedule of everything outside of money making activities, set your metrics, and go in. And what I do, one, I don't, well, depending on what kind of clients you're taking, but if you're doing final expense telesales, you should not be taking appointments. You should not be booking appointments. You should genuinely not be making carrier calls. 99% of the time, you can do that in an email. But I think the biggest thing in messing up people's days, they get an objection and they take it as an appointment, and then they wait an hour for that appointment. So like Mo, do you I mean, you've experienced this, you want to, I mean, I think that's probably another big thing that gets people hiccups in the day if you're doing telesales for sure, right? I mean, the show rate sucks.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, right? If you're in family expense, which the majority of people that start with insurance is, you're, I mean, you're lucky if you have a 30, maybe 40% show rate. Realistically speaking, the the amount of people that actually, I mean, they are in their 60s, 70s, maybe 80s, and were irresponsible with their money for the majority of their time. They were irresponsible with their time for the majority of their time on this planet. So you to expect them to change that for you just because you had a 2-minute conversation to set an appointment is completely, just absolutely bogus, right? This is never going to happen. The only way that you would get something out of that is if you have somebody booking appointments for you,
Yeah.
and then you triple book slots. Like you know, I don't know how long you set your slots, 30 minutes or so. And then per slot, you have 3 appointments set. But that also means that if you do the math for the week, let's say we're doing 9 to 6 or something like that, right? That's 9 hours. That is 18 30-minute slots, which is that 9? Yeah, no, 18 or 27. No, math is way off. 18 30-minute slots times 3 is whatever, 30, 54
Yeah, 54.
times 5. So you need like 250 appointments set to be efficient with your time. Yeah, realistically, not going to happen, right? Unless you buy like a boatload of leads, which in the beginning, you're not going to have the money for that. And then you're still going to have downtime. So, like your best bet starting out is get an efficient dialer system. I really do think it's very crucial. Like, there are people that are, going back and forth with the phones. I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. Get an efficient dialer system. They usually have like a 2 or 4 week trial. Make it work. Get some leads and if you have to go lower quality, get a bunch of lower quality leads. By the way, there's no golden leads, just aged leads that you're going to have. And then just dial the shit out of them, make the best of it, and really, really pound the phones. And I completely forgot your question. So whatever the question was, I
Yeah,
probably
I
didn't
think
answer it.
people. Nah, that's fine. Yeah, I think people get caught up in the golden lead things, and I think they bank their sales on leads over their skill set. I mean, the truth of the matter is this, right? Like, there's people that make $500,000 selling all kinds of different lead types, right? I can think of people that make tons of money selling old age leads, and that's what they do. They just work their ass off, right? They just get really, really good at the intro. Um, and because at the end of the day, it's like, regardless how old the lead is, once you get them into a presentation, that's on you. So, like, don't be mad at age leads because you suck at age lead intro, right? You have to, like, people. The problem is that people come into the industry broke. They come into the industry with lack of skill, and then they expect the quality of the leads to overcompensate for those things. but not be too expensive and not have to dial too much and not get hangups and not get FUs and not get all that stuff. I always tell my guys, I'm like, look, guys, when you start in the business, you're going to get a ton of FUs. And I'll be honest with you, a $2 FU feels a lot better than a $70 FU. So get a bunch of $2 FUs out there and just get it out of the way for cheap, because there's people that spend $70 on mailers, things like that. And so regardless what I gave you, it's like giving a 15-year-old kid the keys to a Ferrari, right? The dude doesn't even know how to drive a car yet, but you're like, here, this car is going to overcompensate for your lack of ability to drive. So you're going to drive great with this car. It's like, no, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You go get him a beat up clunker and then you let him beat it up. And then you go and say, okay, now you can drive. Now you can get whatever you want. Probably can't afford a Ferrari unless you got TikTok, but whatever.
I think that the biggest, and that, we're relatively active in a bunch of groups, just trying to help people out as much as possible all over the place. Facebook, obviously, with videos, right? This is just a little bit more efficient because now we can get this out to however many people will watch this rather than going one-to-one with one person.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, there's a lot of like question on what lead source should I use and, what this, what that. And I get to talking to these people and they're like, well, I make 50 dials a day and, I buy these leads and nothing is happening. Should I buy a better lead? It's like, no, you should work. Like,
Yeah.
you're just not good enough in your intro to get away with 50 dials. Like, even if you have, and you might get to that level, you have a very high quality lead where people pick up a verified phone number, all that stuff. That still doesn't mean that you're going to sell them, right? You still have to have the sales skill. Now, if you just come in, you buy a $20, $30, actually $20 is by now is the standard for final expense that are fresh leads. So let's say a $40, $50 lead at that point, they're just charging you more for the same shit, right?
Yeah.
You're really like, you have to put in so much time and effort and grind this out in the beginning. It just is going to suck for a little bit. There's just no way around that, right? I wish I could give you the keys to the golden castle. It's just not going to happen. So get a dialer, so at least the dialing sucks a little bit less. Ideally, you can listen to some music or whatever you like doing that keeps your mind focused. Don't listen to a podcast. We had a guy do that. He was all over the place. So, get yourself a dialer, get a bunch of leads, dial through them. Then your ROI is going to be really high on these, somewhat lower quality leads. Lower quality just means older, right? If you get a fresh lead, it's not exclusive. It's not fresh. They fill out 50 different forms. They just might remember filling this out better than somebody that did it 3 months ago. Right? That's just the reality of it. So your in is a little bit easier, and you have to get a little bit of less fuck yous. That's all that it is. So the work ethic just plays such a major role, and most people just shoot themselves in the foot with not working. Realistically, that's what we see. Like the people that fail out, they just have some type of excuse. They got to leave early. Oh, today I got to do this. I got to drive my friend around. Like, I don't know. I don't have a place to work. I move around. I don't know what the fuck ever it is. They just don't want to put in the time and then find an excuse not to do it. Like, literally, like you can do all that shit on a Sunday. Yeah. Like somebody calls me, hey, can you help me move this? First off, I'm not going to be the guy to do that, right? But yeah, you call me, hey, can you help me do this? It's like, sure, we can do that on Sunday. Well, I want to do it Thursday. Sorry, not available.
Yeah. And you know what? People tell me all the time too. They're like, "You wouldn't go help your friends move." I'm like, "Dude, my friends don't need help moving because they're paying someone." I'm not trying to sound like an ass or a dick, but it's like, well, that's not what I do. I'm not good at that. That's the same thing. Like, hey, can you help me change my oil, bro? I don't even know how to change my own oil, man. And y'all can say whatever you want about that. I don't really care. I can do a lot of things. Oil changing is not one of them.
Yeah, but how does moving actually look for most people? Like this is a week's process where they're like, oh, I gotta, I hang with the boys, and then they sit around for 5 hours drinking beer and move a couple of boxes.
Yeah, I remember when I worked in the restaurant business, I had people help me. I was like, look, I'll get a bunch of pizza and beer. Let's roll. And it was like 5 hours of moving and 2 days of drinking. You know what I mean? So,
we had to move cross country, right? And we loaded everything up in the truck in a tiny U-Haul. We loaded the whole thing up in one day with 2 people, my wife and I. We loaded up, drove down to Tennessee, had to sleep there, drove down to Florida, and unpacked here. And then we had to move cities here. So we packed it all up in one day, got it going down here because I wanted to work. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, definitely one hell of a tangent, but the truth
really good
is,
at that
is
one.
that's the biggest thing is like, and so for me, it's, I've always done the same thing where I ask myself, like, if I want to do something of like, could I tell my boss this and get the time off? It's the same thing with getting off early, showing up late, taking longer breaks, things like that. It's like, if I were to tell my boss, hey, I need to go, retile my floors. I need to get off early. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Dude, my boss would say, get effed, get fucked. If you don't show up tomorrow, don't show up ever again, right? But we do this thing to ourselves all the time, right? And so like one of my buddies made a post a while back and he was like, if you don't treat your business like a 9 to 5, soon you'll be back working at a 9 to 5. Right. So you have to at least treat it as if it's a 9 to 5. And I think most people don't, right? It's like, well, I get to work from home. I get to wear my PJs. And so it's like, if you don't have your metrics set every single day, you're just not going to do anything in this business. And the truth of the matter is, like, here's the truth. I was lied to, and probably 99% of the people listening to this was lied to. It's not an easy business to crack. It's not, there's no get rich quick style. And 99% of the time you're coming in broke, shitty, skill wise, and you're in a hurry to make money. But the problem is that you're going to need to grind the shit out of whatever lead you get, whatever lead you buy. And at the end of the day, if you're brand new and you're not making 3, 4, 500 dials a day, you're really not working that hard. Right. So for me, it's like my daily and this is once again why I tell people to hit time blocks, because they'll sit around until 2 o'clock because they're like, I got to make 300 dials today. I'll be okay. No. You need 100 by 10 a.m. Let's go. You know, if I tell you by the end of the day, you need to hit these things, they're a lot more lenient with their time in the beginning, where I'm like, dude, 10 a.m., you got to be at 100 dials at least. So it's for me, it's like, okay, let the minimum be, okay, I need 300 dials a day, 4 presentations or 30 contacts. So 300 dials, 3 presentation, or 300 dials, 30 contacts, 3 presentations, 4 presentations, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. But like, set your metrics up in such a way that it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to hit. I need to hit one of those every single day. And that's it. I do not get off of work until I hit those. So if you sit around it all day long and then it's 5 o'clock and everybody's logging out, but you haven't hit your numbers, you have a choice to make. Are you going to hit your numbers or not? And don't be mad when you don't get paid the big bucks when you don't hit your numbers. Like, that's the truth of the business. That's how it goes. The only reason some people succeed and some don't is that some people keep their promises to themselves and some don't.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that 10 out of 11 people, and I'm purposely saying that 10 out of 11 people are not going to be there if you log in a year. Right?
Correct.
93% failure. It's actually more like 11 out of 12 people, but 93%, I think it is. It's either 92, 93, 95, whatever it is. The majority
It's a shit ton of
of
people.
that's a good way to sum it up. A shit ton of people are going to fail out of this business within the first year, right? Insurance has one of the largest failure quotes in any type of business you could do. Like, overall, in general, which might come with that, getting the license and all that. It's not all that hard.
Correct.
Um,
Very low
and
barrier
people,
to entry.
yeah, and then people get sold on the dream. Um, it's going to take longer than you think. It's going to be harder than you think. It's going to cost you more money than you think. You're going to
Yep.
make a bunch of mistakes along the way. And then, as long as you stick it out, you'll probably be a millionaire at the end of the day.
For sure.
Right? Not this day, but like 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
So,
One day. Someday.
yeah, one day, right? But this whole what Hormozy always talks about. You just got to stick it out. Like, the people that stick around, and you can probably attest to that because you've been in insurance for so long. The people that stick around that you knew 7 years ago that are still in the industry are probably the ones making the big bucks now.
I'm the only person I know from 7 years ago, man.
There you go.
That's just
But
how
you
it
know
goes.
what? Let's do it. Let's call it 5 years, right? But that's the reality of things. And you
I
get
know
sold on the
people that
dream.
I know people that were making 250, 300, 400 grand a year when I was starting. And I was like, holy shit, I want to be like them one day. And they're no longer in the business, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of these businesses where you just can't stop, right? You have to build an agency to be able to stop, like stop dialing.
Yeah.
So you know, choose wisely. I mean, it can be a ton of fun. Don't get me like don't take this the wrong way. Just don't be sold on that dream. It's going to be easy and whatnot.
I just hear that storm running, dude.
It's going, it's
So
going up there.
yeah, I mean, for me, it's like your day is very simple. I think that most people just focus on spending a lot of extra time doing things that don't move the needle in your business. And at the end of the day, genuinely, if you're broke right now, like, and what I mean by broke is like you don't have 20 grand in the bank, you don't have enough money for your bill. I mean, I don't know what your bills are, things like that, but you know, the average person, maybe your bill's $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Like, dude, if you don't have 20, 30, 40 grand in the bank right now, you're broke, right? And even at that point, you're still broke. But at that level, you should genuinely be sitting down, and your only activities during the availability of dialing should be dialing. And then outside hours, that's when you do your back office stuff, your CRM stuff, your carrier emails, things like that. Because the biggest thing is like majority of the things that people spend time on carrier calls with, they can put it in an email, send it off, and get their response the next day. The problem is that most people convince themselves they need to do anything but dialing. And the truth of the matter is the more dials you get out of the way now, the less dials you'll have to make later. So genuinely, your day should consist of, for me, it was dial blocks. I said 2 hour time blocks. I'm going to go hit this, and then I'm going to get up. I can go pee. I can get some water, I can stretch my legs, and then 2 more hours, hit it, right? And if you can hit your numbers every single dial block, every single time, like, dude, that's what you should be focused on. Forget the sales, forget the everything. If you train hard and then you hit your numbers every single day, the only reason you won't win is because you quit too soon. That's it. That's genuinely the only reason you won't win in this business. This is a simple business. Everybody just overcomplicates it with their emotional distress, their laziness, their distractions. Dude, if you got TikTok brain, throw your phone away, you know? Whatever you have to do to get all the distractions away from you. And that's genuinely what a work day should look like. People were probably looking for some profound thing where it's like, well, what do you do in your day to day? We work our ass off, and then majority of the outside work is the evening work, right? That's putting your numbers into your tracker, updating your CRM, making sure your emails are ready, your leads are ready for the next day. If you're pre-buying leads and they're not, real-time leads, things like that, like setting yourself up for the next day. If you're doing nighttime gym, then obviously that's when you crush the gym. And that's genuinely what a day should look like, right? Like, if you're not reflecting your day every evening and being like, okay, what went well, what could I work on, listening to your calls, like, that's the biggest thing that gets you better. Is like, okay, cool, role play in the morning, run your day by time blocks, make sure you hit your numbers every single day, no excuses. And then ask yourself, right, is there any reason that I would, like, my boss, like, if my boss was a dickhead, could I get off work early for this reason? Could I not come in tomorrow for that reason? If the answer is no, like, the problem is that you're running your business too lenient for yourself, and you're not a dick boss to yourself. Be a dick.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know your evening routine. What do you do to cap off the day?
I mean, really, I have a checklist that I go through when I'm like, okay, this is the end of the day, which pretty much is just tracking my numbers, making sure I got all the paperwork on the CRM, making sure I post my sales in the group if I haven't yet, making sure I upload my paperwork to the CRM to make sure I have the connection between, hey, this is the person, that's what, the health profile looks like, or whatever the situation there may be. Checking emails, checking my assistant's messages again, which you should never check your emails and if you have an assistant message all throughout the day, because that eats a ton of time. And then, social media posts, that type of thing. Obviously putting my numbers in first off, and then, and then,
It's chaos over there today.
rough. The animals go wild. Anyway. So going through my checklist, tracking my numbers, emails, messages, uploading forms, paperwork, that type of thing, and then really just checking my emails at the end of the day in case I can, take care of something via an email. Update on my checklists, like, hey, I got this policy number I got to work on. I got like the sticky notes on the computer here with my bunch of screens, and really just make sure that I can close out my mind for the day. That there's nothing like, oh shit, I got to do this, and then head out, have a quick meal or whatever, head to the gym, get that done, and then I'm out for the night. Usually, sometimes I have like a training video, annuity training or sales training or whatever on there. Depending on how my day falls, if I have time in the morning, I like to do it there, but sometimes it's just at night.
That's a solid day, dude. I know when I was first starting in the business, like I had a checklist of something I had to do every day, right? And it was like, I think it was like 10 things. It was like when I wake up at 4, right? Work out. I had to do an hour of sales training a day. I had to read a book, read a chapter of a book, right? Whether it be audiobook or we get in this debate all the time with people. It's like, oh, you're not reading if it's audiobook. Well, I consume the fucking knowledge. So whatever. And it was faster than you did it. So we'll call it whatever it is. A chapter of a book. I had to hit my dials, contacts, presentations, or sales count every single time. And it wasn't like sales did not count for me as far as like, let's say my sale number for the day was 2. If I had 2 sales by noon, that was just at that point did not matter anymore. I had to hit I had to hit these numbers then. Because for me, it's so crazy to me how quick someone will get off of work when they made a sale, but how they won't stay later when they haven't. Right. It's like, if you take it, you got to give it back. Right. So this is the biggest thing about the business. And so for me, it was like hitting the numbers. And then every day I had to track my numbers, and tracking your numbers are simple, guys. Do you get a spreadsheet, Google Sheet, make 6 rows, dials, contacts, presentations, sales, policies,
Talk
and then
time
AP
and talk time.
and talk
I
time.
like talk time just to track. Am I like going off track too much, which I tend to do, or not so much? How efficient am I? Right. But you could neglect that one if you had to cross one out, for
For
sure.
sure. I mean, for us, we track all of it, and so like we have everything built out for all of our guys at the agency, which you can easily build out, or you can reach out to me. I'll help you with some of it, but like it literally calculates everything for you. That and so like for us, we track everything from talk time to live transfers, call-ins, whatever we take. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the closeout of the day, and then making sure that's taken care of, and making sure you can, as Mo said, shut your brain off for the day, right? Because if you can't shut your brain off at the end of the day, you're not going to get a good night's sleep. And once again, your morning starts the night before, right? It's like if you watch TV, if you're bullshitting, like most people do like mind numbing things outside of work, and then they sit around and twiddle their thumbs during the day at work, and they're like, oh, all these leads suck. I had a guy that genuinely would be like, oh, nobody's picking up on these leads, they suck. And I'm like, well, how do you know they suck if no one's answered the phone yet? That makes zero sense. How do you know that the leads suck if no one's picked up? So
Yeah, I mean, you talk to people that buy like 5 leads, or it's like I'm not the type of guy that says you have to make 20,000 dials to sell someone because you should have some sales skill. I think people get like in the camp of it's only sales skill or it's only work. I think the goal, like, there's a sweet spot in the middle,
yeah,
but you can't be fresh and then buy 5 leads, dial them once, and be like, I didn't get a sale. This sucks.
yeah.
It's not
And
how
on
that
the
works.
inverse of that as well, is you can't not do sales training and not dial and be like, why am I not getting better? It's like you have to do both. That's why for us, it's like we bust your ass on activity, but we bust your ass just as much on sales training too. It's like I tell people from the beginning, the bad news is you suck, and the good news is you suck until you don't. So how quickly do you want to stop sucking? You know what I mean? So for us, it's like, dude, it's okay to suck in the beginning, but we can get you to not suck very, very quickly if you're willing to plug in and do massive amounts of activity and train extremely hard and push yourself every single day. The problem is people don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to unmute in the Zoom room. They don't want to get advice. They don't want to send calls. It's like, how am I supposed to train you? That's like me being a basketball coach and not even attending the game and being like, all right, guys, we need to train better from that last game. You're like, you weren't even fucking there. What do you mean? It's the same thing as you expecting me to teach you whenever I can't hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's baffling to me, right? So the first two sales jobs I had, the sales training sucked, like just sucked, like just terrible, like horrible. Which also explained why nobody made the money that I made, because I was just like, okay, let me just train this myself, right? And not to brag by any means, it's just like most sales trainers really suck bad, like they're not good whatsoever. Um, Yet they've been there for 10 years, and the number's been steady because they've been steadily sucking for the last 10 years. Then I came here, and I just financially I had to work my second sales job, I guess it would be, from like 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7, whenever that was done, and then work here afterwards. So really, I didn't get the morning role plays or anything like that, right? Like I was working that entire time.
Yeah.
And then I just got the reps in throughout, and then studied at night and in the morning before the other work. So how you can come in, have access to all that stuff, a pre-written script that is very straightforward, finally expense optimized, get the role plays, and then still not come through is absolutely asinine. I don't even know how that works. Like, I really do think that we are doing everything possible to make this work for new people. So if somebody comes through here and just can't figure it out, at this point in time, you're the issue, no one else. Like there's really don't know what else to change at this point. Like you have so many resources, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like different lead types. I mean,
yeah, we had a guy come in and this was the funniest thing that just happened recently. So they'll probably know it if they see this, but oh well, it is what it is. Dude came in and bought 70 leads, and he was like, that I'm not getting sales, blah blah blah. And we were like, how many dials did you make? And he was like, 35. I'm like, how the fuck do you buy 70 leads and only make 35 dials? That just were you trying to split your leads up so you don't call them all in one day? Like you should be pounding the shit out of them, but is what it is, man. I think that I think the good thing that a lot of people in this industry, the problem is that they got sold a different expectation, and I don't blame them for that. But now you're here, right? It's like being born poor. It's not your fault you were born poor. But if you're 30 years old and you're still poor, that's damn well your fault. I don't give a shit who you are, right? So it's like same thing in the industry. You may have got in the industry with false expectations because someone sold you a dream, but if you're still here and you're still broke, that's damn well on you, because that happened to me as well. And I figured it all the hell out and I worked my ass off. I said, okay, you know what? I may suck, but I can just overcompensate with activity. And that's all I did. I just said, how much is that guy doing? Okay, cool. I'm going to do twice as much activity because I got to fall somewhere in there, right? But yeah, if you need help, if you need coaching, we are always looking for solid people, and it doesn't even have to do a skill set, because I'll train you the skill set. Mo will train you the skill set. I mean, Mo did what'd you do last week? I think with an annuity, he did like, I think it was like 60K it would qualify for leaderboard wise. So in 1 week, I think in commissions, he'll get something like 40 something $1,000 overall. So ain't mad at it, right? That's a good week. No. But yeah, if you're looking for sales training, but here's the thing. If with us, it's like, you have to be willing to put the effort in. And if you're not willing to put the effort in, I can't put the effort in. So if you're interested, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Mo. Go to, join.ariseinsurance.group.com. We'll put the link in the description for all these as well. But that's not the point of this podcast. We just want to bring value to people. But there is a lot of people that are just in the wrong place with the wrong people, and they just need someone to kick them in the ass. Mo, do you have anything else, or is that pretty much?
Yeah. Also, I know there are people that might not want to leave the agency or whatever, which is fine, right? I might not want to have you on, but I'll be willing to help you. So if you just want to reach out and say, hey, they're not giving me this, can you help me with that? Like, we do that stuff all the time.
For sure.
I have people, that are messaging me from they're in for face-to-face sales. I have people that are on certain captive places. I have, bunch of people reaching out. Not everyone wants to start. And sometimes just explaining how commissions work, right? Like easy things like that. If you have any questions, reach out, and whatever it may be, there's silly questions, but I don't think anyone will ask those. And if so, I'll tell you, and then we can move on to something better. Not someone better questions for you, right? And we'll figure it out. Like just let us know, and let's hope that the world is not breaking down around here.
Yeah, you're getting wrecked, man. Cool. Appreciate you guys. Good episode 2. Where can they find you though, Mo? I didn't even. Are you gonna? We'll probably link your stuff in the bottom. My stuff in the bottom.
We'll link it. We'll link it. I'll spell it out, but we'll link it. Instagram would be ERNSTHETICS. Probably put that somewhere on the screen here. Hopefully, maybe. If not, it's going to be in the description. That's Instagram, and then probably Instagram's the easiest, or just on Facebook. I go by Mo. My name is Moritz, Moritz. Last name is Lohr, Loehr. Middle name is ERNST, so it's not getting any easier. Just put Moritz in there. I'm probably the only one that's going to pop up like that.
Yeah, the easiest way to do it is to search a Facebook group, and you'll just type in Moritz. You'll find him.
There you go.
Cool. Appreciate you guys. Episode 2 done. Hopefully that puts you some a little bit of help here and there. Once again, metrics, anything. Even if you want to sit down and have a conversation about that. Once again, we're actively building our agency for sure, but I'm more than happy to help you just as much as Mo is. One thing though is if you reach out, you're going to get the same respect as you would if you were in our agency, meaning we're going to shoot you straight. We're not going to bullshit you. And if we think you're making excuses, we're going to tell you you're making excuses and to nut up. Right. So appreciate you guys. Hope it was helpful. Catch you guys later.